Peace and light, beautiful souls. Welcome to Alchemy Soul, a space for honest conversations about transformation, spiritual awakening, and the messy, messy process of becoming who you really are. I am your host, Marquita, and I'm super grateful to have you all here with me today. We are going strong, you guys. I am sitting here actually in bed. I'm just being honest, y'all. Just being honest. But it's still like a beautiful part to like the part where I'm like in bed at the end of the night and, all showered, and I'm still like disciplined enough to say, hey, I got something on my mind. I actually would like to record this and get this out into the world. It feels very intimate right now. It feels very sacred, and I really am just feeling good. I feel good, and I'm in a space to like share, some of the things that I'm experiencing this week. Um, so yeah, let's get into it, guys. Today we are going to be talking about who you have to become in order to go to the next level, in order to expand, and so in order to evolve. And the reason why, this is my topic for today, because I am planning to move out of the country. And like soon. It's like happening like within less than 30 days. And I still can't even believe, sometimes that I am as so radical and free as I am. Like I am really radical. um, when I decide I want to do something, I just do it. And I allow things to play out how they need to play out, because what I have found is that sometimes you have to just be audacious, and you have to be intentional and deliberate about going after your goals, and then allow the energy to catch up to who you have decided to be. Um, Sometimes, I think that we decide that we have to wait for the energy align, when really I think that the going after what you want and allowing the energy to work around that is the way that alignment works. And so I'm super excited. Just a backstory and a little bit about, what has gotten me to this point is that where do I even begin? Okay, so let's start all the way back 2019. In 2019, I got fired from my 9 to 5, and I was in a space where I was competing for a bodybuilding competition, and I was in prep, and then I got fired. And I remember the next day after I got fired, like I knew I was going to get fired. I remember before I got fired that Friday, I started taking stuff home. Like I took a box of stuff home because my ancestors, they told me it's time. Like it literally told me it's time. And I took a box of stuff home. I just knew, I knew that I was about to be fired. And I came in on Monday. I was late. I was probably about 30, 35 minutes late. And I got fired that day. Um, and in hindsight, I'm just like, wow, like I think that when it comes to spirituality and our intuition, our ancestors, and just the downloads that we receive, I think that it is interesting how, we get these messages and these downloads and everything, and oftentimes we ignore them. right? Like we ignore our intuition, we ignore the voices in our head, we ignore all of it. But somebody's talking, something's talking, like in multiple people, like it's not just one voice, 9 times out of 10. Um, and we don't listen, right? We, brush it off and just continue to listen to the voice that has been programmed into us from whoever, be it your mother, be it your father, be it, your boss or whoever. But instead of listening to the voice of reason, that's like, okay, it's time. And I did. I listened. I knew that it was going to be time. And I remember the next day after I got fired, I was like, it's my time. It's my time. I just felt it. I knew it. I'm like, it's my time. I knew that it was my time to become my own boss. I was ready to take on the world of like entrepreneurship. I was ready to be in charge of my time. I was ready to be in charge of how I spent and exerted my own energy. And so I was so excited, like so excited, and then shortly after that, my lease to my apartment was ending and I didn't have a job. So, what I said, I was like, I am going to be nomadic. That's what I said. I said, I'm going to be nomadic. I was like, at that point, I think that I felt like I was homeless, but it felt more intentional. So I was like, this is my my nomadic experience. And so what I did was I packed all of my stuff up and I put it in storage and I got me an Airbnb in the city that I lived in at the time, which was Atlanta. um, and that's how I lived. Like I stayed in Airbnbs. And then when 2020 came, um, at the end of 2020, when we was getting all that money and stuff like that back, I was like, I'm traveling. I'm gonna be nomadic. Flights were super cheap at that time too. I was like, I'm gonna be nomadic. Like, let's continue this journey. And me and my partner at the time, we traveled. Like, we traveled all across America, and it was a really amazing experience. The money wasn't there in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think back on that journey of like when we first started out, the money was not there. We didn't have the money. I remember us driving from, we drove from, I drove by myself from Atlanta to Chicago. He met me in Chicago because at the time he was in California. He flew from California to Chicago, met me there, and we drove from Chicago all the way to Florida. Listen, we drove from Chicago all the way to Florida in a Grand Prix, like a, well, wait, I don't even know what year, 2000, maybe 2000 Grand Prix, and it was 2020 in that car. And the man, I went and got the car checked before I drove to Chicago from Atlanta, and the man was like, I don't recommend y'all drive. I don't recommend you drive, on this car. It was something wrong with it underneath it. But I was like, okay. And I didn't get it fixed. And I left. I drove from I drove from Atlanta to Chicago, and then we drove from Chicago back to Atlanta. No, Chicago to Florida. And when we got to Florida, we didn't have no money. We didn't have any money. I booked us an Airbnb. Um, and we stayed in the Airbnb. It was so funny way to think back on it because it was a tent. It was a tent, and I was like, I was just embracing like this free spirited part of myself. I was like, I really want to know what it'll be like to stay inside of a tent. Y'all, staying inside of a tent in Florida is, I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea, but it was an experience, and we stayed there for, I don't know how long we stayed in that tent, but I do know that it came down to a point where we didn't have any money, and we were just adding on days. As money came in, we were just adding on days. And then all of a sudden, I was researching like what nomads do and stuff like that. And so I came across the app Furnish Finder, and I reached out to some people. Mind you, this is during COVID. I reached out to some people on Furnish Finder, and just so happened we connected with the guy. He had a room in a penthouse suite in Miami. Okay, and listen, it was nice, and he let us stay there. I think we stayed there for about a week. We filmed content on the rooftop, took pictures, and it was a really like amazing experience. Um, and it was just great. Um, and then after that, I was like, some things worked out, I think, where, he ended up getting some money for some clients and stuff like that. And then after that, we went, okay, where do we go after that? I was like, I really am not. I remember having a conversation with him about like, I have no desire to give up on this journey. I was like, I believe, I just was telling him, like, I believe everything is going to work out. And so what happened was we went from Florida back to Atlanta. Might have stayed in Atlanta for a few days. And then, did we take the car back to Chicago? No, I think we had the car. We left the car in Georgia. Because how do we get to California? Okay, maybe I did go back to Chicago. And he went back to California. So that's what happened. I went back to Chicago. Is that what happened? I don't remember, y'all. I don't remember. But long story short, we ended up going to California. And when we got to California, we just had an amazing experience. It was my birthday at the time. It was my birthday week, and some money had came through, and I was able to book us an Airbnb. Mind you, these are rooms in houses, like, and I booked us an Airbnb, and we stayed in that room. And I remember we was sitting outside smoking. We were sitting outside smoking on the curb, and he was like, "There is no plan B," and I was like, "There is no plan B," and literally, literally, just thinking back on it, I'm like, wow. But literally, probably when we decided that there was no plan B, the money was hitting my account, y'all. Like all of the money that I was supposed to get back from I think I don't know what it was called at that time, but they was giving out money, like unemployment money for the businesses. All of the money hit my account at one time. We went in the house and saw everything hit. I'm talking about all the back payments. Oh my gosh, I was in tears. I was in tears. I could not believe how that manifested. Like, and so if I could just take that moment, that experience, but the thing about it is that I've had many experiences like this, right? Like, that's just one experience over the course of, when did I decide? 2019, and this is 2026 now, over the course of 7 years. That was one experience where things just worked out for us, like in abundance, right? In abundance. I can take that and I can ride, right? Like I can ride. But okay, so I'm gonna continue with the story because I wanna let y'all know how I got to this point. So, we got the money. That was in California. Then we booked us a car and we drove to Las Vegas. From Las Vegas, we went to the Grand Canyon. From the Grand Canyon, we went back to Las Vegas. Las Vegas, we went to Houston, maybe. And then Houston, we went to, listen, y'all, I don't know all the places we went, but it was just traveling around and just experiencing life. And it was so much fun. Like, it was just the best time. It's actually holds like a lot of memories for me because that was like one of the best times of my life for a bunch of different reasons, just outside of like me traveling. Like, it was just an amazing experience. And so, yeah, but then but then I got pregnant, and we came on back to Atlanta. And then that's when the story, started to shift and things, went, you know, I wouldn't say downhill, but they just shifted. And so I stayed in Atlanta for a while before I decided I'm not giving up on this, right? At the time where I decided that I was not going to give up on this, I was actually staying with family. Um, and I had a roof over my head and I wasn't paying, anything to live under that roof. And I was super grateful for that, that opportunity to be able to rest. During that time, I decided, hey, I am not going to give up on this because at this time, me and my daughter's father, we had broken up. And so at this point, I'm a single mom. And at that time, things are different now. At that time, I felt like all of the weight was on me. Um, and I remember because I started making content about, single mom and, how about the fact that I was not going to be struggling as a single mother. And so I decided that, okay, I'm moving out of this country. And so the original plan was for me to move to Costa Rica, but we ended up moving to Thailand. And even how I got the money for that was crazy too, but we're not even gonna get into that, but because that's real super detailed. But we decided, or I decided, not we, I decided that we were moving to Thailand. And I think back on that first time where I decided that I was moving out of the country and where I decided to move to, it came from such a limited and fearful mindset, right? To even say that, hey, I'm moving somewhere to get away from the struggle of being a single mother. That's escaping. I was escaping my reality when really, when I got there, I was still struggling to be a single mother because now I don't have a support system. Now I don't have people close by that I can drop my daughter off to, although she was in daycare. So I technically did drop her off every day to daycare. But it was just different, So um it's different this time for me because I'm reaching towards expansion. I'm not reaching for escape. I think that a lot of people that are leaving America right now are escaping, which I understand. But it's different for me because I am expanding. And so the question comes in like, who do I have to become in order to live this lifestyle? Because I don't not only want to live in places where my dollar stretches, I just want to live all over. Like, I don't care about the cost of living. I don't care about, whether or not, I can get a cheaper rate just because the dollar is stronger. Like, I don't really care about those things. What I care most about right now is my expansion and my experience as I go on this journey of being a nomad abroad. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited. Um, Thailand last time for me was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. In hindsight, I can see that I was escaping, but in the moment, what I felt like was that I was making a choice that would yield me and my daughter a better lifestyle. Which is nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong for wanting a better lifestyle. We do know that things in America cost a lot of money. We do know that things in America is not safe. We do know that we can go other places and live a better lifestyle. So, was I wrong for escaping? Absolutely not. I wasn't. And nobody is, right? Because it's out of hand. It has gotten out of hand with the way that things are going. However, one thing that I always am mindful of is that no matter where you go, there you are. And the grass is not always greener on the other side. So that was told to me before I actually went to Thailand. And I know what that means, right? Like, we know that the grass is not greener on the other side. We know, but that means that pretty much it can be the same way wherever you go. Um, and that's exactly how it was. Like, I was probably even more lonely and depressed being in Thailand because now I have language barriers. Now I don't have familiar food and familiar surroundings. And so I took that experience and I put it in my back pocket, right? Because one thing about me is that I don't give up. If I say that I want something for my life and I want to experience it, I'm going to experience it. Just like when I said I wanted to compete in a bodybuilding competition, it took me years before that actually manifested. But I did it. I did it. And this road that I'm on in being nomadic is deeper. It's spiritually ingrained in my DNA. Like, it is a calling that it's a soul calling. And it's all up and through my birth chart. Y'all know I'm big on astrology. Like, it's all up and through my birth chart. And so, you know, after I went to Thailand and came back, I brought my daughter back to her dad. And then I went to Colombia afterwards, and I spent a couple of months in Colombia, Medellin, Colombia. And during that time, I experienced a lot too. I was very unhappy, but it felt good to experience another culture. It felt good to be around people who had like mind. Um, and so I had decided when I left Colombia, I was like, I'm coming back. I said, Colombia, I'm coming back. It was my plan to come back, stack some money, and go move back. I was gonna move back. I'm like, I'm getting us a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Like, I had looked at a couple of places. Yeah. And things just did not work out how I thought that they would. And essentially, I feel like I kind of got stuck. But it wasn't that I got stuck. It's that I think that I just didn't believe in myself enough. I didn't trust in myself enough. I didn't trust in God enough. I didn't trust in the universe enough to actually stick with it at that time. And since then, I've been homeless, nomadic, however you want to call it. I was saying, what's the difference between being homeless and being nomadic? That's what I was asking myself during the time. Like, what's the difference? But the difference is the intention, right? I've had moments of homelessness and I've had moments of being nomadic. The difference is in choice. I didn't choose. There was moments where I actually wanted to have a house and I didn't have one. So then I was homeless. And I had moments where I decided, oh, I don't want to live here no more. Oh, let me go somewhere else. Boop. Oh, let me go over here. Oh, I don't want to live here no more. Let me end this lease. Let me go over here. That's the nomadic part. That's the nomadic spirit in me. And so I had to, it's so crazy because now I'm thinking about it and I'm just talking through it, but I had to come back here to Atlanta before I take this next step. Because I hadn't been in Atlanta for 18 months because I went from California to Raleigh, Durham to back to California, and then I came back to Atlanta. But I had to come back to Atlanta because I still had some residual emotions and some residual energy that needed to be clear. And what it was is that I have a daughter, and I feel that there are certain expectations that are placed on me and how I should live my life based on me having a daughter. And when I first came back here, I held a lot of shame and a lot of hurt and a lot of pain on in me because I'm like, I cannot live my life. I feel that I can't live my life. I feel that, people, pretty much, I'm just saying, like, I felt like her father was like expecting me to be this kind of mother and this kind of person that I'm not. And once I cleared that, once I got to the root of like, I'm not that person. I'm not the mother that you think or expect me to be. I'm not gonna be, this kind of woman. Like, I'm different, and I'm gonna embrace the differences. My daughter is gonna love me because I am different. She's gonna love me because I do get to take her on these adventures. I will get to introduce her to these different cultures and she will speak these different languages. You know, I think, I don't know. Of course, we never know how our kids will take on the perception of the life they live as kids. But I come with the best intentions. I can live my life for myself as well as be a good mother. And so I don't have to sacrifice. I don't have to sacrifice my goals, my dreams. I have to live them. I have to pursue them for myself first, but also for her to see that she can be as adventurous and free flowing and do what she wants because her mama do it. Her mama do it. And the things that I want for her, she might not want for her, but my intentions are always pure. And so once I got rid of that part of it, I was like, oh, baby, it's up from here. It's up from here. I do believe that I can travel this world and I can have very expansive experiences. What I imagine for myself is just 3 months here, 6 months here, 1 year here, 2 years here, 3 months here, 6 months. My choice, my decision, whenever I feel like getting up and leaving and moving, to be able to have that freedom, that flow, to be able to just decide. I don't plan to, it is not my plan. I don't have any intention to be moving every 2 weeks. That's not who I am. That's not my thing. I like to rest, I like to unpack. Like, I like to stay in nice places, like 3 months, 2 months. I can even do 2 months. Um, but anything less than 2 months, I could not even see it. Anything less than 2 months for me personally is a vacation. Like, that's a vacation, and this is not what this is. This lifestyle that I am, about to step into, or that I have stepped into, it's not a vacation. Like, this is living. This is my life, and I'm gonna have time for a vacation. Like, I'm gonna have time for vacation. I will imagine that at some point I'll be like, okay, well, I need to have a vacation. Let me go to a resort, or something like that. Um, that's what I imagine. That is gonna be like. But the question still remains, like, who do I have to become in order to experience it? I'm becoming it right now. I've been becoming it. You all are witnessing it in real time. You all are witnessing me show up every single week when I have not been as consistent in the past with other things. This is the becoming. I'm about to start crying. This is becoming, because I believe in myself so much. Like, I believe in myself. I believe in my journey. I believe in the fire that I have in my spirit. Baby, I got some fire. I got some fire in me. I mean, I am a Leo stellium, okay? And I'm a Sagittarius rising. I have a lot of fire in me, actually. And I feel it. I feel it all the time. When I say do what set your soul on fire, for me, traveling sets my soul on fire. It sets my soul on fire. Who I become when I travel is somebody that I become myself. Me being here at home in Atlanta, and me when I'm traveling, two totally different women. Two totally different women. So I'm excited. I am a little scared. I'm a little nervous. I know it's going to be highs and lows, and just like every lifestyle and every journey is, and it has been, right? Because as I said before, I've been doing this. I've only not been doing it, abroad. Um, and it has come with its highs and lows. It has. But I've learned so much about myself. There's so many lessons in life, and I'm always reaching for one or another. So that's just who I am. But yeah, you guys, this was a very, very intimate conversation. I am about to sit here and journal about this. Who do I have to become? I imagine that I will have to become someone who is organized, more consistent, more structured. So that's why I say, like, this is you're watching it in real time, because this is what is going to have to be done in order for me to live the life that I want to live. Because guess what? I want to show y'all. I want to show y'all. I want everybody in the world, not everybody, as many people as I can reach in the world, to witness my journey and my experience. Because I always want to be an example. This is what this is all about. This whole, start of this podcast is about me teaching through the clarity of my life experience, through my life experience, I believe that a lot of people can get a lot of lessons because I'm always pulling them. I'm always pulling a lesson, and I can always tell you what it's like. And so I know, when I say I know what I know, I know that this is just a part of the becoming. And I'm a crybaby, y'all. I'm a crybaby. I'm a crybaby. But I just feel it. I just feel it. And I'm so, so, so grateful to have you here witnessing, listening, engaging. I'm grateful. So thank you. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And until next time, until next week, peace, love, and light, beautiful souls.